Girl wears book into love scratching girl pendant. Because the behavior is very different from the past. The father thought the girl was broken by the crown prince. So the best man and daughter were arranged. Blind date. But the girl just wants to be an empty family. The girl who squatted in her previous life has been living a depressed life. Traps are everywhere. In a deceptive environment, walking on thin ice. So he dreams of being a vicious female partner. Even if you are scolded by others. But it can't be changed at birth. Reality with a golden spoon. Finally one day, he was selected by the reincarnation truck. As soon as I opened my eyes, I dressed up as the vicious woman I dreamed of. The media frowned and there was a maid's condolences. A hearty breakfast when you get up. Girl can't believe it. My dream has come true. And his original sound is indeed a bad girl. In the original work, after the male protagonist and the female protagonist are engaged, he signed a contract with the devil to complete the blackening. Due to his outstanding magical talent, once became the most feared enemy of the male and female protagonists. But I don't want to let myself go to a tragic end. His family is a long-standing family of magicians. Dad is the most powerful Mota-lord in the empire, and the head of the Ascend family. And there are countless gems in the family name. Mine with his proud figure. A beautiful face and outstanding magical talent. No need for a man at all. One book on the bed. Imagine your future perfect life.
He only needs to be at a distance.
Applause for the sweet love of the two protagonists. Stay away from the protagonists. Will not become a dark wizard. It was the little girl who alerted the Duke to come. I got up in a panic. Dad looked serious. Ask if a book has not been well reflected. The original one was before the crossing. The original body threw bombs at the dating place of the male and female protagonists. So he was grounded by the Duke's father. Reflect on a week. Although grounded, one book just stayed in the room eating, drinking, and having fun. He couldn't help but wonder. Did Dad think he was lazy? I am quietly reflecting. But Dad doesn't believe his daughter will be quiet at all. Call the assistant immediately. Let him hand over those things to a book. I saw the assistant officer trying to dissuade. Duke, don't be so hard on your daughter. One can't help but wonder if it has crossed over. Also have to work overtime. Learn that you only work 6 hours a day. One breathed a sigh of relief. Before leaving, Dad Lashang requires that it must be completed well. Or make him famous from the family. Not just the father. My brother also despises himself very much on weekdays. Although my family doesn't seem to like me. But for a book of orphans in a previous life, he's a little happy with his family. Fortunately, they didn't kick themselves out of the house. When the Duke receives his daughter's completed affairs, I was shocked. A book is recorded in a tabular manner. You can intuitively know the sales volume of the business group. Even the Duke's father looked satisfied. The assistant officer on the side slapped a rainbow fart. It is said that he has been very smart since he was a child. The Duke suddenly realized it. So I called my daughter's female fox. When the Duke asked about the arrival of a copy, the maid immediately panicked. Miss has been very depressed recently. Only eat 3 meals a day. When I was free, I helped organize the desk in the office. The more the Duke's father heard, the more panicked he became. Daughter never helps herself work. And this kid was eating 6 meals a day since he was a kid. So the Duke immediately had in mind. Searching for the reasons for my daughter's transformation. The crown prince must have dumped one. His self-esteem was seriously wounded. He couldn't help but wonder. Is the daughter still in love with the crown prince? Little do I know that one is currently eating fruit in the room. Eat fruit and then dessert. Then lie down and sleep beautifully. But the Duke's father was already completely resentful in his heart. Hate the crown prince. Her daughter was a good-looking girl of noble birth. Pursue him so passionately. He also deliberately dated illegitimate female princesses from other countries. So angry that he slammed the table. He thinks his daughter is taking advantage of him by throwing bombs at him. I just got a copy from my dad. Quickly ask what happened. He couldn't help but worry. Is there something wrong with what you wrote? Apologize to my father. I have worked hard. I heard my daughter apologize. The Duke suspected that he had misheard. Quickly praise a well-done book. Knowing that it is not a crime to oneself. A hanging heart finally let go. With a bright smile. But the Duke's father panicked. Because my daughter used to. Never mind your own praise. And often get yourself into trouble. In order to make yourself a permanent home squat. A hasty expression. I will always reflect deeply in the room. Before he could finish, he was interrupted by the Duke. Dad just wants you to reflect. I didn't mean to bring you down. Saying that, he told a book that he had bought an empty house. For him to do whatever he wants. Find him. Assistant officer explained. The Duke has already laid down a line around the house. Sealing magic. It won't affect anyone. But for the current one, he is reluctant to destroy a house for no reason. I noticed my dad's face that he was going to get it. A tactful admission that he deserves to be punished. So no need to smash the house. But this behavior completely angered the Duke. He has completely identified himself as the shit crown prince. Transform your daughter? Fortunately, the assistant on the side stopped the Duke in time. And daughter. A longing for the Duke's powerful magical performance. Let the Duke's father be a little embarrassed. This is the Duke. Ju's father made a... If you want anything, you can say it directly. If you want to fall in love, I'll find you someone better than the dog crown prince. 100 times the man. I didn't think about it, but I said I wanted to learn. This made everyone present couldn't believe it. So the Duke prepared many books for his daughter. Returned to the room, eating a snack while reading a book. This kind of squatting life at home made him so cool that he flew. Then he started fantasizing again. I can use magic like my dad. But the magical knowledge in books. He didn't understand anything. Then start actual combat training. He gestured confidently to release magic. Just about to chant a spell. A man opened the door without warning. The other party is the original. The middle manager of a book called Mad Dog. Baden asked his brother in a panic what he was doing. It turned out that one book came in and actively sorted out the form. And learning courses. This kind of behavior made my brother mistakenly believe that he wants to compete for a title. See yourself misunderstood. He clenched his fists in anger. Explain that you just want to help your brother protect the family. Baden never thought a book would help him. The next one is an example. Monster wars are getting shorter and shorter. It used to be a 10-year war. Now it's every 5 years. Next time it's 3 years. It could be even bigger. Although my brother knows this. But I still want to ask where the basis for this book came from. Helpless, one can only be Huju. I was sorted out by studying history. Result. You see the spreadsheets that make sense. My brother reluctantly agreed with this statement. But he still didn't believe it. My sister will help me obediently. To allay my brother's suspicions. Forced Ben to stage a tragic play. I just want to help my brother and father live a quiet life. And my brother was confused and asked what song. A slightly impatient one called my brother again. Now my brother also thinks his sister is crazy. So he immediately found his father. Asked for information about one book. The Duke's father got up suddenly. Do you think it's weird too? After all, the two are from. Never been called a brother or praised by a book. And a book of madness about knowledge. Let the teacher shiver. Then father and son had a discussion. The reason for the change. It all comes down to the crown prince.
Duke Dad.
Decided to introduce a blind date to a book.
Think.
Maybe dating a man 100 times more handsome than the crown prince. The daughter will be in a much better mood. The two thought of a book of past dating experiences. They all laughed eerily. And this time, a handsome man received a letter. Invitation to the capital. In the mirror. It also includes an old lease. This is Heiress' father in the past because, oh, a favor. And established. A contract that promises anything. So even if the adjutant tried to dissuade, Ellis dates the notorious villain. Lois still insists on going to the appointment. He also wants to see. How terrible is the evil woman? After that, the whole family took a copy to go shopping. Everywhere people go, they avoid a book. This makes the book even more afraid to go out. The brother on the side also teased. A book of great fame. After getting off the carriage, one book is full of novelty to the lively commercial street. But my brother thinks. One is because I haven't been out for too long. Ming Ming. This is where he dropped the bomb some time ago. As he spoke, he whispered into his ear and asked, do you still want to drop bombs? The gaze of this book transferred to the magnificent palace not far away. Soon a cloth covered his view. Dad's face. Nervous to let a book. Don't stare at that place in the future. Even my brother said it was too annoying to be in love. Only then did one realize. The two misunderstood that they were still in love with the crown prince. But the explanation of one book is in the opinion of the two. It's more like being dumped and pretending it doesn't matter. To make a book feel better, father took a copy to the clothing store to buy clothes. The attitude of the waiter is similar to that of a book. Completely different, in memory. Usually when I come alone. They're always talking about themselves. Maybe one. They don't fit in with each other. However, the sadness is less than 1 second. Father and brother called a book to come over quickly. Random command. The clerk put. Take out all the clothes that fit a book. A smile that was relieved. It doesn't matter what other people think of you. As long as your family cares about you. Then I tried on a lot of clothes. But everyone. It looks dazzling when you wear it. This makes it impossible to choose a book at all. Father and brother couldn't help but sigh. One is the most beautiful child of the empire. Then the father pointed to the red high heels. Let the clerk put. Other than these dangerous shoes. Pack it all and take it away. After shopping at the clothing store, father and brother went to another book stores I used to go to often. Watching my father get something. Just say it suits you. And brother let himself try this is that. One book laughed out loud inadvertently. Such a warm scene is from his previous life. Never experienced. And father, after noticing the smile of a book with my brother, immediately gather around like a dog. Father told a book. The smile just like that looks like mom. Dad's words warmed one's heart. At this time my brother made an unknown suggestion to drink tea. The tone of the two singing and reconciling. Let a book doubt it was negotiated in advance. To the cafe. Father ordered another load of desserts. This makes a book a bit frustrating. Now he just wants to go back to his room and study. And bought so many clothes. No chance to wear it. The father angrily slapped the table, indicating that there would be a chance. 3 days later, I introduced a good man to you. And the meeting place was in this cafe. A book that reminds me of what my father said before. It turned out to be serious. I haven't waited for a complaint yet. My brother introduced the blind date. The other party is the head of the Duke of Eyre's house. He was also a master swordsman. This guy's heard about it. It is said to be the object of admiration for all the ladies. But he didn't have any doubts. Such an excellent person. Why are you so crazy with yourself? Bad malicious meat. Father got up when he heard the words. You have to teach those who talk a good lesson. My brother also comforts me that my condition is very good. Seeing that both of them are trying their best to defend and comfort themselves. A book was suddenly moved and speechless. After that, both my father and brother left early. I was just moved by my father and brother. I was immediately spoiled by the yellow hair in front of me. The other party yawned and acted lazily. Completely different attitude from when my father was there. So one book got angry. Bad thoughts should teach him a lesson. He said there were bugs on his arm. And I slapped him on the arm. I didn't expect it to be so gentle. The other party sat on the ground in pain. One opened his hand and looked at it.
He didn't expect it either.
Your own hands have such power. Suddenly a book was startled. He found his shadow at some point. Turned into a strange purple substance. Even my brother is alone. Go to the Crown Prince to settle accounts. However, what he didn't expect was. The Crown Prince heard the news of the capital of Elsland. I have already guessed the purpose of the other party's trip. It's for a book. My brother doesn't know how to explain it. Bring the Crown Prince in front of him. A book of arrogant reviews came in. Reasons for learning progress. He haughtily believes. One book does this to become the Crown Princess. And then make a fake gesture of regret. The position of the Crown Princess belongs to that princess. The angry brother is furious. But he still reminded the Crown Prince not to worry about it. A book that has started a new life. And the Crown Prince thought his brother was trying to be strong. I never imagined that one day a book would not like me. Let my brother persuade a book to give up on himself. That narcissistic, arrogant gesture. Make my brother want to turn into a mad dog and tear him apart. Suddenly my brother noticed. There is a residual handprint on the tree next to it. So he took out the magic tool. Want to record it. But when he reminded the Crown Prince of the anomaly behind him, the premiere on the tree suddenly disappeared again. The Crown Prince at this time. I am still affectionately asking my brother to persuade me to write a book. Finally, my brother's face darkened. He let the Crown Prince not bother. One book has long been forgotten, Your Highness. And father. And I don't want a book to become a Crown Princess. After saying that, he did not give the Crown Prince a chance to react. Just bow down and say goodbye. Although my brother's heart. In fact, I don't know if there is still a Greenwood Emperor in one book. Prince, but he decided to let his sister. No more access to this scum. A recent discovery. Your own shadow becomes a lump. Strange purple substance. In a panic, he stepped on the shadow violently. Unexpectedly, I heard the other party's cruel words. So one book caught the horns again. This allowed the shadow to return to normal. But when a book asks Huang Nao about what just happened, and he didn't see anything. And after a book to repel the monster, a wounded man appears at the palace.
And
he left his handprint on a certain tree. A copy of Shopping Home. Gave the maid a lace. Make the maid sing and dance happily. After saying thank you 300 times in a row. Start flipping through the information. I want to find some information related to shadow blurring. The thought of someone trying to harm you. One book can't help but feel a little melancholy. But he went through the book. Can't find any clues. So he thought, Maybe the original sound of the book will know some clues. He casually asked the maid. Do you still remember that you ordered some? Where you can move. Sure enough, the maid heard it. I immediately nervously promised that I hadn't moved it. Lady Maid's cannonball making room. The artifacts lab. Locker on the right side of the table. A book that knows the location smiles slightly. Tell the maid. Make sure no one else touches that thing. The maid who received the order said. I will follow the previous instructions of the lady. As soon as an intruder is found, just hit back with this ear bomb. A maid with a harmless face. Can't help but feel that it is worthy of being a maid. In the middle of the night, a book of pinching hands and feet came to the cannonball research room. Discover the structure inside. It's completely different from what you imagined. There are neat test tubes and magic potions everywhere. When he finds the table the maid mentioned, found a diary hidden in a drawer. And a book. Therefore, he is going to see what is written in the diary first. But he couldn't open it with brute force. Helpless. He could only turn his eyes to another book. When he flipped through the content of the book. Surprising discovery. This is a book about magical amnesia. This also means that one book has the disease. And alone in search of a cure. At the same time, one also learns through the content of the book. I couldn't use magic until some time ago. That's what causes this disease. Fortunately, the book discovered the key to treating this disease. Is to insist. Powder ground with a high-grade magic stone. However, the price of this magic stone is ridiculously expensive. Just 1 kilogram cost 10 billion gold coins. And the next day. It's a day of blind dates with Heiress. Heiress was dressed up early and ready to go. Handsome and straight posture. Make the scary clothes move to tears. There's a book on the other side that seems preoccupied. He asked the maid about her own property, but was told. Mrs. Property is used in the magic merchant. This also means that one book has no property. After recognizing that he is a poor man, he's getting more and more nervous about being threatened with his life. What would I do if I were to be found out that I don't know magic again? So he asked the maid. Here comes the magic communication tool. After communicating with the people in the gemstone trading group, I learned that the price of the magic stone is 20 million elves a moment. And it's basically priceless. A dejected book arrives at the date. I'm still thinking of selling my clothes for money. He didn't even hear what people were saying. Until I was reminded by Ayer's call. I just realized that I am on a blind date now. Although the other party is a peerless and beautiful man, I also want to take the initiative. The next time we meet. But the other party must have been deceived by his father. So maybe a quick end. Dear, it is best for both parties. Therefore, one decided to take measures to scare off owls. He spread his hands in a big smile. Ask the other person if they would like to lend themselves a little money. Think about your own behavior. It will definitely make the other party speechless. Then leave angrily. But I heard the other party ask how much money they need. In a panic, a book reveals itself. Need 20 billion golden pen. Random. And I saw Elle digging through the linings. See the other party take out a pen? A book that subconsciously thinks swordsmanship is great. The teacher will use this to silence himself. Ayers just scribbles and writes on paper. One at this time. I noticed that Ayers' eyelashes are beautiful. The hair also looks very supple. See such a handsome face. Let him relax. Pretty soon. He also noticed that the other party's fingers were also very slender. Good looking, follow the eyes. He sensed the other party. He actually slashed his fist on the check. A book shows that Elle is serious. So he's scrambling to stop him. But accidentally held each other's hand tightly. This scene stunned both parties for a while.
He hurriedly threw his hands out.
Then apologized to Elle. Although I have long heard that the Duke is very kind. But it shouldn't be. It's easy to lend money to others. Unexpectedly, the Duke smiled. Then explained that you are not a sloppy lady. Miss is the mother-in-law of the Ascent-Holtz family. And that money is your own private property. Even if you are deceived in the end, there is nothing you can do. A small student reminds the blind date that it is so strange. The first reaction should be to run away. Else Wenyan put down the teacup in his hand. Then I fixed my eyes on a book. Lean in front of me and whisper to me. The palace maid should not be a strange person, right? The eyes of the two briefly met. A shy panic stands up and says goodbye. The Duke. It is also very considerate to suggest that you send a copy home by yourself. He expressed his desire to learn more about a book. Although one book is also very willing to agree. But I'm worried about my bad girl status. Will cause trouble for the Duke. The public rejected the Duke's offer. This is the Duke. Ask if you can promise yourself a book. A request. When we meet next time. Both parties are addressed by each other's first names. Saying that, he took up a copy of his hand. The lady calls me Lady Deneen. Then lightly kissed the back of a book's hand. When at that moment, the heart that has been sealed in two worlds seems to have finally begun to beat. His heartfelt smile. In response to the Duke's request. Good Lord Ludinayan. Let the Duke look at it and can't help but be stunned. A book after the blind date. Came to the nearby square. I just spent a short time with the Duke. Also very happy. But the Duke is an existence that he cannot afford. I will never see you again. Then a book saw someone walking towards him. Judging by the golden hair, the source must be the crown prince. The maid is really urinating. Come and see me on a blind date. This is a book about the last person I want to meet. The crown prince was adopted by the current queen. Just became the crown prince. Therefore, he is particularly concerned about his wind, the pavilion and the majesty of the royal family. This also caused him to be particularly disgusted. The infamous one. Even a similar purple one. He never wears silver gestures either. But now the crown prince is in front of a book. Coquettish like a cowherd. In a salute to the crown prince. And he watched him carefully. In the novel, the crown prince is a handsome man. But a book that just met a more perfect man. Instead, he felt that the crown prince was too ordinary. And a careful observation. In the eyes of the crown prince, it became a pleading look. Then I'm getting in your way. I'll go first. The crown prince can't figure it out. Now I can't even attract a book. A book that really says goodbye to itself. In a hurry. He grabbed a copy of the book and wouldn't let him go. This rude behavior was unexpected. Your Highness, you are holding my hand now. The crown prince let go. More and more people are watching. Thinking about what it would be like to have a showdown in public. The crown prince will understand what he means. So he told the crown prince. I have long forgotten His Highness. The future self will never hinder His Highness. At the same time, apologized to the crown prince for his past actions. But this greasy yellow-haired man doesn't seem to understand human language. Saying it in front of everyone. The effort that came in to become the crown princess. Rao is a book. In front of this cheeky butter? I don't look good either. I heard that the other party also pulled the Duke of Els. He was so angry that his whole body began to tremble. Just then the Duke came to the rescue in time. Intimate help, a book, put on your coat. Then he filmed the crown prince with a cold gaze. Learned that the other party was the Duke of Els. The crown prince's face instantly looked ugly. When the environment forms a stable triangular structure. The people around immediately started gossiping about Xiaosheng. Some even say, the Duke and the crown prince are the true evil daughters. One is just a third party. Let us speechless enjoy. The bomb started going off. I seem to have noticed that a book is in a bad mood. The Duke motioned to leave with a copy. Go to a quiet place. Claims to have just prepared a gift. Forgot to give it to you. One guesses that the other party is deliberately trying to help him out. And he had an idea.
Take the Duke's arm intimately.
Tell the crown prince. I'm still on a blind date with the Duke. To spend the warm time with him. I will retire first and the Duke will not expose it. Instead I held a book's hand. Prove your relationship with Ben. It's like he said. The crown prince frowned. Looking at the two banks leaving hand in hand. Inexplicably gave birth to a kind of arrogant him. Unacceptable frustration. And a book of thanks to the Duke. In the future I will find a way to repay the kindness. Love he knows. The Duke was only entrusted by his father. I just came to have a blind date with myself. But for his own reasons. So many things in vain. Duan Duke Wenyan fell into deep thought. One thought it was him who made him unhappy. Unexpectedly the Duke strode forward. An instant steady. The mature handsome face was stuck in front of him. See those big gentle hands. Pick up your hair gently. The girl closes her eyes tightly, expecting and afraid. Then the Duke gently plucked off a book of fallen leaves at the tip of his hair. Then answer the question that is not asked. Didn't you promise to call your name? But this book. I was still immersed in the movements of the Duke just now. See each other. Still a calm and steady expression. A book in my heart. This kind of behavior will misunderstand you. And the Duke who returned home. Can't calm down at all. I unknowingly added milk nuggets to my coffee. My head is full of eyes. Even the words of the adjutant was ignored by him. Suddenly the Duke asked the adjutant. Did you say you were handsome before the blind date? The unknown adjutant said that he is also handsome now. Handsome in the future. This answer displeased the Duke. How can you make me believe this? Your aesthetic is not the aesthetic of ordinary people. Then he took the initiative to bring up the blind date process. They all take great care of themselves. The adjutant wanted to say that the Duke must have misread. but was directly interrupted by the other party. Then the Duke told the adjutant, I always have some strange sounds in my head right now. No. Why can I hear a book called by my own name? This makes my head so confused. The adjutant directly hee. Asked the Duke if his morning gifts have been delivered. The Duke suddenly remembered. At that time, when I was chasing the palace maid and wanted to give gifts, accidentally came across a book. Crying in front of the crown prince. Combine afterwards. A book to apologize to yourself. In an instant he made up his mind. The palace maid meets the long-loved crown prince. Because it's too painful. Please him. Escape the scene without a good impression. So he told the adjutant, I will not return to the territory for the time being. And ordered him to investigate. Has the palace maid owed a huge amount of debt recently? He wanted to know. Ascent Holt's family. As one of the richest families in the empire. One book is in urgent need of such a large sum of money. What is the reason? The Duke looked out the window and thought of the maid's jewel. The pupils are like this sunset. He suddenly regretted that he had not been prepared. More expensive gifts. Little do you know. The magic stone ring he gave was just what he needed. See the magic stone at this approximate moment. A book of moved tears. He couldn't help but sigh. The Duke is the most perfect man in the world. Even the prepared gifts are just right. It's what you need. Suddenly father and brother broke into a book's room. The reason is that two people heard. The crown prince appeared at the scene of a blind date. But one is more worried about dad and brother. Recently the two have been busy with business. I've always looked so tired. The concern of one book makes the two feel more guilty. Obviously one is suffering outside. And then you worry about them. The father apologized for not allowing his daughter to go on a blind date. The daughter of the victim saw the crown prince. A book to comfort dad that he is okay. I just feel wronged by the Duke. Let him date people like himself. This is unacceptable to both father and brother. In their eyes, one is the best and kindest child in the family. A confident smile. Then I asked my father to want to forget everything. Restart your career. Dad and brother both agree. Rather than wasting time on emotions. Better to invest. How could it be that one book directly indicates that he has no money to do it now? Career asks if father can lend him 10 million gold coins. Return with interest in the future. As soon as my brother hears it, it is the money for a few clothes. So I plan to give it directly to my sister. But was rejected by a book. He will officially issue an IOU to borrow money. In order to improve the trust I have in my father and brother. The father realized that his daughter was serious this time. I agreed. Their family is not just a family of magicians. And he is also the owner of the invested business group. Just take this opportunity. Let my daughter learn how to do business. In the evening, my father called my brother. Tell him a book besides doing business. There was no blind date. This surprised my brother very much.
He warns his father carefully.
A person's heart doesn't change so easily. Maybe he's just pretending. Put away the unrequited love for the crown prince. The father heard that the crown prince's face became cold again. Just because the queen adopted him. Adrian became the crown prince. This position can be changed at any time. If he steps down from the position of crown prince, he will no longer ignore our family. My brother obviously didn't expect it either. Father for a book. Will intervene in the dispute between the royal heirs. After all, throughout history, the Ascent family never interferes with the royal family. The father explained that this was just one of them. Main reason. Or is the princess brought by the crown prince too strange? My brother also noticed that on the battlefield, the magic used by the princess, the healing ability is far beyond the ordinary level. Then, the father ordered his brother to investigate the princess. At the same time, contact the former and current third prince. Invite girls on dates at the same time. But when a book sees a letter from the maid emperor, he wasn't happy at all. Even became iron clear in an instant. Cold sweat on face. Because he is the most notorious evil woman in the empire. He guessed that the Duke must have felt. Blind date is too wronged. So he sued himself. And the crown prince sent the past himself. Letter of responsibility for crimes committed. The maid comforts a book of the past, although it is a bit excessive. But now the young lady is simply better than. The nuns of the monastery should also be kind. After calming down, decided to look at the Duke's last name first. Thinking of the Duke. At most, I just want myself to return the mode ring. Because the Duke treated him kindly that day. So a book with a perturbed mood? Open the envelope and read. I didn't expect the Duke. I'm just worried in the letter that I won't like the gift. And at the end invite a book to go to the opera together. The maid called. The Duke must have been fascinated by the lady. Let the lady reply quickly to accept. But one is ready to refuse. He was convinced that the Duke had been asked by his father. So I wrote to myself out of politeness. Although, he really doesn't want to give up on this perfect man. The Crown Prince's new book. It's just a quick glance. Opponent. He actually invited him to the tea party held by the princess. Even specifically told, you can't use magic when you come. Such behavior. It's like treating him as a potential criminal. Besides, tell him, I am no longer interested in the Crown Princess. I have to disturb myself so often. One book regards the Crown Prince as the most rubbish in my heart. Scum. On the day of the tea party, the Crown Prince looked around at the aristocratic ladies present. But I never found the shadow of a book. And for a moment he was devastated. Obviously, as long as you are there in the past. Palace. Women will find ways to get thrifty and close to themselves. Remember the day the Duke of Els. Take away a picture. He couldn't help but wonder. Does one really not want to win? Own attention. This is a woman holding the Crown Prince's arm. Opponent. Princess Cordelia of the neighboring Malay king. The Crown Prince introduced to the crowd. The princess relies on recovery magic. Saved his life. Everyone instantly turned into a little simp of a princess. Start flattering. Then someone mentioned the Duke. A blind date with a bad girl. And the princess noticed it too. The Crown Prince's face instantly became ugly. So he began to praise. The other ladies have good skin care. Success changed the topic. Meanwhile, Eben went out to buy rhodia grass. So this is a new project that he's been thinking about these days. The main function of this grass is as an antipyretic. Although there are many more effective materials on the market. But rhodia grass is cheap. Monopoly can be achieved with limited funds. And Eben. We also learn from the original that there is another role for him. There will be a history of contagion among the future nobles. Unknown skin disease. And the illegitimate princess relies on this herb. Successfully reversed his unfavorable situation. The princess at that time. Although rhodia grass was distributed for free. But one book wasn't going to do that. He is ready. Make the most of the information you learn from novels. Earn yourself 200 caddies. At the same time, in order to sell at a higher price. A plan to package rhodia grass into high-end. It can also cure the purity of skin diseases. Natural handmade cosmetics. After getting off the carriage, one book inadvertently glanced in the direction of the palace. Thinking that the Crown Prince is holding a tea party. Let him be angry. Getting ready to go to work on the matter at hand. Eyes are blown into dust by the wind. And he is pitiful. Looking full of tears. The Duke looked at him as normal. Men are the dream lovers of all women in the empire. As soon as you go out, you can attract the attention of countless women.
Even.
The 80-year-old man also had to marvel at his handsomeness. However, such a perfect man has no. Saved in love with the most notorious evil woman. The two looked at each other for a moment. The Duke could not contain his joy. Although the invitation not long ago was rejected by the palace maid. But this chance encounter made me really happy. It's like a bad kid who got caught cheating. Shocked into a cold sweat. Tell the Duke. I still have some things to deal with here. Want to take the opportunity to escape. Unexpectedly, the other party also expressed. I have something to do on this street. Hope to be able to go with a book. This is a bit surprising. The invitation in the second letter was entrusted by my father. So what's up with the Duke's invitation this time? A book suddenly became wary of the Duke. Because in the original, the Duke of Els was only briefly mentioned. Never really played. This means that the current plot and the original, there was a huge deviation. But this novel is particularly fond of reversals. For example, one's own helper betrays oneself. So I picked up my hair. Pretend to be impatient. I hope the Duke can find someone else to shop with. Unexpectedly, the voice just fell. The Duke turned into a lost puppy in seconds.
He quickly came to the side of a book.
It's just an excuse I made to be with you. Just pretend you don't know and promise me. The heart of the classical Chinese book is about to explode. Even the yellow-haired guards were taken aback by the Duke's behavior, complaining that the palace maid is too ruthless. After that, the Duke went shopping with one book smoothly. And let Yellow Hair play by himself. I haven't had time to worry about not having an escort. Will he be killed? I heard the Duke ask the reason for replacing the guard. Only then did I realize. According to the setting, he is a great magician. Of course you don't need an escort. An unnatural explanation. Be careful. No harm at all. The Duke of Wenyan nodded. After all, there is too much garbage in this world. Hearing a trash book, I thought I was talking about myself. Nervous change of subject. Indicated that he would go shopping later. The Duke echoed that the palace maids like to shop. Remember for yourself. A book that somehow feels like it's being interrogated. The bad deeds of the past come to mind. He subconsciously defended himself. Not as lavish as before. I kind of hate luxury. Unexpectedly, the Duke began to panic again. So you don't like gemstone skirts, shoes and bags? He sighed in disappointment. You should know more about the maids giving gifts. A book that suddenly reminds me of the Duke. Give yourself a pattern bracelet. The Duke. It's a misunderstanding that I don't like the blind date gift he gave me. He couldn't help but laugh. Then tell the Duke. I especially like the gifts he gave me. After all, that's healing magic. Patterns of memory loss. In the process that follows, the Duke kept asking a book for all kinds of information. It's like trying to figure yourself out. It's like a picture book. Still ambiguous praise in the picture. More beautiful than before. A book that finally suppressed the inner restlessness. Was about to respond with a compliment to the Duke, but was interrupted by other passing nobles. As soon as the other party sees the Duke of Heiress, smiling on my face, desperately trying to get his daughter to meet the Duke. But the Duke only said hello politely. Just say goodbye. A strange Duke just had a cold attitude.
He thought the Duke was particularly kind to everyone.
Unexpectedly, the Duke suddenly apologized to a book. Sorry. I have too many problems. But I'm just curious about you. This makes one have to guess.
Duke.
Do you really have special feelings for yourself? Looking at that confident and handsome face. One book suddenly realized its notoriety. The character should not have this kind of sweet plot. Usually, passers-by are ashamed to see one. The waiter can also speak ill of him without hesitation. This time with the Duke. The other party has been trying to get close to him. I always ask personal questions. I deliberately said that I was only curious about him, that kind of ambiguous words. So he... Clever to think the other person is pretending to be in love. In fact, the Duke approached him for another reason. However, little do they know. The Duke is just a hopeless love affair. An unnatural glance at the man at the side. The other party has been... Exudes a strength that he can't refuse. He guessed. The Duke is a member of the Royal Secret Search Organization. This is dedicated to investigation. Elites who cannot make their cases public. Organization and is said to. Has close ties to the 4 Grand Dukes. A book is secretly calculated in my heart. Except for the blind date, it was my father's arrangement. The other dukes may have behaved indiscriminately. Mission of the spy organization. The crown prince in the original also became vicious due to the original sound. And watch yourself. Think of this. A book was suddenly held in the arms of a man. Sturdy big hands firmly hold a colleague. Almost broke his sanity. Fortunately, the Duke pointed to the tree in front of him. Explain that you are worried about knocking over a book before you can successfully convince yourself. The Duke did this to allay his vigilance. By the way, he also made up his mind. To wash away the reputation of the evil girl. Soon the two came to a place. Noble and luxurious makeup shop. While selecting a product. Also investigating. This store service does not meet his cooperation requirements. This is a representation of the Duke's cold pudding. The maids are actually very beautiful without makeup. Sweet words make a book uneasy. However, one book quickly made adjustments. I thought it was the Duke poking and reminding himself. I said not long ago that I don't like luxury. Fortunately, one book also found products from this store. Really gorgeous. Then he proposed to go to other stores to have a look. The two just entered the store. The lady in the store saluted the two politely. A surprise? The other party didn't because of the reputation of the evil girl. Despise yourself. And you can name him and the Duke accurately. Soon one smelled in the store. Exudes a refreshing fragrance. He guessed that among these cosmetics, all kinds of vanilla have been added. And he held up a question about the ingredients. The other party confidently explained the specific source of the fragrance. And introduce yourself to the store. It's all functional cosmetics. The ability to process vanilla is outstanding. As he spoke, he wiped a little on Eben's hand. Feel this unique fragrance. Force Ben to believe. It can be successfully produced here. Cosmetics of rhodia grass in the new order. And suddenly he looked away, and there was nothing. The Duke of everything. After the two people's eyes were aligned, the Duke wondered what Hoy had in mind. Little did he know that Eben was brainstorming at this time. He felt that the Duke was spying on him. But the crime. It should all come down to the Emperor who gave the order. On the prince. So a waving gesture, a Duke came over. The other party immediately put down the action in his hand. Walk towards a book. Obedient like a puppy. He commanded the Duke to open his hands. Then apply hand cream to him with your own hands. While smearing, he also sighed in his heart. These hands are so beautiful. If true, someone can grow old with such a man in the future. You must throw a bomb at him. And the Duke in a book after applying hand cream. He just stayed put. A book that realizes its own irrationality. Explain in a panic, I want to report as much as possible. Answer the gift given last time. Running outside while talking.
He actually gave a daily practice.
The sword man gives hand cream. I'm so stupid. In a hurry. The Duke says he practices swordsmanship every day. More protective care is required. This is the angle from which the book stops and escapes. However, the matter of two people dating. It actually spread to the tea party in the palace. And it happened to be overheard by the crown prince passing by. The crown prince of Wenyan was not calm immediately. He began to think about the purpose and reasons for dating. Finally, narcissistic, he convinced himself in his heart. These are palace maids. Trying to make him jealous. Little did he know that in his heart. There was a lot going on in the past. Notorious evil girl. Has occupied an increasingly large position. And the act of the crown prince leaving the princess alone. It also made the princess hold grudges even more. A book he clearly remembers the past. The crown prince doesn't even want to look at that palace maid. But from the crown prince's behavior and expression just now, he could feel the jealousy. The princess picked a flower with her blood-stained hands. Looking at the flowers without mercy. Gradually wither in the hand. Just then, the princess accidentally found herself in the courtyard. Saw the little Duke of the House of Ascent. This is the past in war. The only one who has seen his healing magic. People who will alienate him in the future. So he decided to take advantage of this person.
Take back His Highness' heart.
As soon as I got home, the Duke asked the adjutant how to please girls. The adjutant reported to him first not long ago. The Duke commissioned an investigation into the matter of the palace maids. The result is that the palace maids have no worries. The Duke who hears this is like falling into an ice cave. He doesn't know how to ask someone who doesn't need money. Girls who don't need luxury goods express their feelings. The rich official advised the Duke to give up. Because since the palace maid says nothing, means he's gently refusing. At worst, the Duke. You were kicked, but it's a gift. After receiving the gift, the official immediately changed his face. The maid built a high wall for you. But still leave you room. Sure enough, she is a veritable evil girl. Here the adjutant say bad things about his sweetheart. The Duke immediately gave a gloomy warning to the adjutant. Don't talk about palace maids at will. So the adjutant said it differently. Maybe the maid is just raising the eyes of the Duke. The Duke is confused. Go to the official and explain that this is a very popular term in the capital.
It means...
Although I don't want to develop the relationship further. But still often. Meet someone you have a crush on. How could Duke Wenyan not be angry at all? On the contrary, I'm looking for Gang Hee Gong in my memory. All kinds of clips of female dating. Then with the expression of endless death. It doesn't matter if it's a fish pond. He thinks. Now a book broken by the Prince of Trash. The heart has been completely closed. Therefore, he solemnly asked the adjutant to send it to the third prince. Diligence and frugality changed the situation. The Duke who actually just received a gift. Still smug. Smell the scent of hand cream on your hands from time to time. I heard the maid say that the fragrance of roses is very suitable for her. The Duke was even more happy. Looking at the palace maid with a brilliant smile beside her. The Duke was about to send out invitations. The spell was interrupted by the brother who suddenly appeared. My brother reminded a book with a vigilant face. He and the Duke. News of the date has spread throughout the palace. Then he turned his head and stared at the Duke. The process will be completed in 5 minutes. Salute to the Duke. The uninformed Duke. He also warmly greeted his brother-in-law. Shake hands with uncle. Praise each other and a book that looks very similar. More handsome and handsome than the rumors say.
Coming.
The aggressive brother was immediately praised by this inexplicable praise. Reduced murderous intent. A strong book can't help but sigh at the Duke. The charm can be eaten by both men and women. But when my brother heard the Duke, I want to invite him to have dinner with a book. He became vigilant again. Then decisively rejected the Duke's kindness. He explained to the Duke. Own sister. I have made up my mind to start a new life. Don't mess with him out of curiosity.
He has already said that he will never fall in love again.
Concentrate on improving yourself. I really don't want to admit it. After all, he's not really dating the Duke. But as soon as he saw the cute Duke, I'm ashamed and speechless. So the brother took his own initiative and left with his sister. I went home. One is like a brother complaining that he's not dating. My brother doesn't believe him at all. I clearly saw the two of them being sweet. Get together and talk. My brother was also fascinated by the Duke just now. Speechless. He even showed a heartbroken expression. Original. The reason why my brother stopped the Duke from falling in love with a book Or the crown prince. He couldn't bear it. Sister in love. After experiencing a forsaken event. When I think of the scum of the crown prince at that time, he gets angry. If it is not the identity of the other party, I sent him on his way long ago. Then my brother suddenly remembered. He used magic tools. Strange crafts recorded in the courtyard of the palace. He was dressed to confirm. Little do you know, a giant bug has appeared behind him. Just now. Brother is just getting ready. Check the information recorded in the bracelet. Accidentally attacked by a giant monster. On the way to evade the attack, the bracelet fell to the door of the room. Then my brother began to chant magic. Impose defensive magic on yourself. Hopefully it will last until someone else's rescue arrives. Originally, this monster used magic in advance. Cut off the connection between this place and the outside world. And the monster is strong. Defense magic won't last long. Then a book seemed to hear something. After asking the maid, the other party claims to have heard nothing. Just when one thought it was a hallucination, another violent sound reached his ears. So he set out to find the source of the sound. As a result, I found the door to my brother's room. A copy posted to the door. I want to see what my brother is up to. The fierce mood immediately ordered the maid to call someone quickly. Because he was sure he heard the cry of a monster and the sound of magic spells. When he opened the door, the situation in the room startled him. My brother saw one coming. Let him use attack magic to assist. But what he doesn't know is, one can't use magic at all. Just then, the monster spat poison into a book. But one book didn't hurt. It turned out that his brother used defensive magic for him. Blocked this episode. However, the next moment, my brother's defense has been broken by the monster. One knows. It's because I took away my brother's magic. Lead to defense breakdown.
He wants to help his brother.
The body trembled uncontrollably. And the brother on the other side is still fighting with monsters. All the time. One book is an excellent magician in his heart. Maybe it was because he saw the monster for the first time. Make his body stiff. But my brother alone cannot destroy the monster. So he shouted at a book to cheer him up. As a result, the gap was grabbed by the monster. He was paralyzed by a demon and couldn't move. Soon he was entangled by the monster. Maybe I have to explain it here. But he wants to try to make a book anyway. Escape at this critical moment. One noticed the bracelet at the foot. So he used his power to smash at the monster. The bracelet hits the monster's head. A book that wants my brother to take the opportunity to escape quickly. As a result, the monster was directly hit by him. After falling to the ground, at the call of the little maid, the Horn soldiers are long overdue. And at the same time as the monster fell, a princess who manipulates monsters with a magic ball in the distance. It hurt. Constant nosebleeds. Because of the end of the contract with the monster. Will shorten his lifespan. He couldn't believe it. Can kill his monsters with just the bracelet? The last time he called. Even if the shadow of the call is defeated. This call. It was a deputy who attacked Baden. In fact, high-level monsters. He does not pass the cold hair index. He obviously cut off the connection with black magic. Why did the maid still appear in time? It's as if he knew his plan early on. But he gritted his teeth in disbelief. I thought it was a coincidence. Only this time it happened. The price paid is too great. So he's going to try it out for himself. Does the maid really know something? The father on the other side. I saw the monster that attacked my daughter and son. He still couldn't believe it. This kind of thing will appear in one's own home. Brother nodded to confirm. It suddenly appeared after taking a shower. Maybe he entered his room through the window. But one book said that the windows were tightly closed at that time. No, this monster is from the battlefield. Follow yourself all the way home. But my father didn't think it was possible. Because of this monster. Dark magicians make contracts at the cost of life. They will form a close connection. Can't be too far apart. This also means that the dark mage is for the first time. Upon hearing the news, one book couldn't help but get nervous. His life. It can be threatened at any moment. He guessed that the shadow monster that had attacked him. Also by the hands of the dark magician. Thinking that my father is the master of the magic tower. You should know something about dark magicians. Just because do you want to ask? I suddenly thought of a book in the plot. Will eventually become a dark wizard. And he started thinking about it. Perhaps the original body became a dark magician. Not for myself. And that depressed him. I thought that as long as I wasn't a bad girl, I wouldn't be black. Then my father asked how the monster was destroyed. The brother took out a deformed bracelet and explained. One book defeated the monster with this blow. Dad asked in disbelief. Is it true? After learning that this happened. Ask again, why not use magic? I don't know how to answer. thinking about whether to take this opportunity to confess. The best outcome is when the father immediately go buy 20 billion model for yourself.
Bad ending.
Even my brother and father dislike him because of this, thinking that I don't have enough trust in the hearts of the two. Still give up. And at this moment my brother took the initiative to take responsibility. Sighed, he was caught by a monster. If magic is used in that situation, it will hurt him. But a book that understands. Before that, you have many opportunities to unleash your magic. Does my brother know that he can use magic? So I'm covering up. Then my brother smiled at a book that revealed a comet. Confirmed that he was indeed protecting himself. And this moved Eben a little bit. It turns out that my brother has always been very kind to himself. After hearing what my brother said, the father believed that Eben was the mother who used brute force to solve the problem. Because this anomaly is obviously inherited from the mother. One's mother was a beautiful knight. Once in the royal hunting competition, he grabbed the bear with his bare hands. Favored by his father. Hear about your parents' bizarre love experience. Let Ben and his brother be silent. Father's awkward cough. Sighed he would investigate the matter later. Then my brother proposed. There's one more important thing. That's the Duke of Heiress come in. Keep dangling around a book. You often harass him. Even rumors of two people dating spread throughout the palace and the academy. Because the Duke of Heiress, it was a central air conditioner. So I am very worried that one book will be deceived by him. A book full of question marks fixed by my brother, trying to explain that he and the Duke are actually very innocent. But my father has ordered, strictly forbid the Duke from communicating with a book. If he still wants to secretly see a book, I won't let him go. At this time, a report from the attendant came from outside the door. Said that a guest came to visit the palace maid. The news made both my brother and father complacent. Border. It's the first time I've been visited by a book that's so big. And the princess is holding a gift box. Standing at the entrance of feuding. Be careful when drinking tea. It is said that the heroine looks as cute as the spring sun. Just seeing him makes people feel warm. At the same time, he also has the ability to calm monsters. Now, in this way, magical characters appear in the eyes of one book. Front. But he doesn't remember such a plot in the original book. The two were silent for a long time. The heroine finally put down the teacup and got to the point. Sorry for the sudden visit. I am also very grateful to the palace maids for their warm hospitality. In fact, I thought the palace maid would not see me. I also know that you don't like me. As soon as the heroine opens her mouth, it smells of green tea. Make a book speechless. But to get him to let go of his hostility. A book admitting that he didn't like princesses in the past. But there's no reason to hate it now. But the heroine's eyes suddenly filled with tears. It's like you don't understand human language. Ask a book what this means. Is it you? Very confident of getting the crown prince's letter. Let a book be confused. In fact, the heroine is not really stupid and sweet. She came to the door for 3 reasons this time. The first step is to confirm how well the maids know themselves. Second, one is the bracelet that destroyed Baden Record's own premiere. The third is so that the palace maids can no longer hinder themselves. And he said something on purpose. Just to keep myself from being suspected. So he immediately brought it up again. The matchmaking between the maid and the Duke of Heiress. Then pretend to be sad. I thought palace maids were like this. Is trying to forget the crown prince. Think so. It's because the maid recognized my relationship with His Highness. A calm response to this. I really have no feelings for the crown prince. Then why did you deliberately do it in front of His Highness? The conspicuous palace maid specially chose to leave the palace. Near area. Dating the Duke. So that the news spreads in an instant. I've heard it's a common method in the social world. And powerful heterosexual gossip. To attract the attention of others.
Lady Maid?
Do you agree that in order to gain the attention of the crown prince, taking advantage of the innocent Duke of Heiress, the words of the heroine, it's all about achieving a goal. Smoke grenade. But it makes a whole person bad. At the same time, he also let his father, who was hiding at the door and eavesdropping, explode. Fortunately, my brother stopped me. That's what stopped him from rushing in and tearing the green tea. Brother advises father to calm down. Because if he intervenes, makes the book even more embarrassing. But my father really couldn't swallow this breath. Ask. Front section. Is there any news about the time to find the third prince? The third prince on the other side has received his father. And a letter from the Duke of Heiress. But he burned the letter without hesitation. He is not going to be with these 2 dukes. Have more contact. Because he wants to keep. Protect yourself and your mother's comfort. 18 years ago, the Empress of the Empire lost 2 sons. He has no heir. adopted the fourth Prince Adrian as an adopted son, and make him the crown prince. Can be in order of age. It should be the third prince who succeeds. Even the ministers are talking. Why did the queen give up her talent? Excellent third prince. Chose an ordinary fourth prince to be the crown prince. So the ministers met the emperor. Later, the third prince was also summoned by the emperor because of this. But the emperor used the third prince's gaunt face as an excuse. Let him go to the doctor to get medicine. The doctor at that time allowed. Third prince, don't tell anyone about this. The young third prince immediately. I see, what is it? He was scared, but he had no choice. However, after he drank the medicine, nothing happened. The medicine bottle is filled with ordinary water. And his mother suddenly vomited blood and passed out. Although he saved his life. But the mother also suffered mental decline due to the sequelae of the poison. Therefore, the current third prince. I don't want to fight for any more inheritance rights. Not just because his life was earned by his mother's sacrifice. It is written that the emperor and the queen of the empire are the same person.
He will never be able to defy the emperor again.
Not so long ago. The father was accused by the third prince of being in poor health. Refused to meet. Father is angry. He believed that the third prince also knew. A weak person cannot maintain the present peace. It was in his heart that he laughed at the innocence of the third prince. He bumped into the Duke of Heiress, who had been waiting for a long time. Elle apologized to the other party for getting in the way. Wait until the father accepts the apology. The Duke of Heiress deliberately identified the other party. Isn't this Lord Mota? Long time no see. Who knew that my father didn't know the man in front of him at all? Therefore, Elle introduced himself to the other party. My name is Ludinane. Elle then looked at his father in surprise. With a polite bow. Father's embarrassing compliment. Heiress. Growing up to be as handsome as a modern duke. Heiress is. Thank you to your father. Friction master. It's still the same as when I was a child. Didn't get old at all. But this outstanding appearance and excellent eloquence. Let my father be vigilant. He. Suddenly regret letting my baby daughter talk like this. Slippy man blind date. At this time, Elle took the initiative to clarify his purpose. He wants to find the magic tower. Is there any magic suitable for beginners? But my father was puzzled. Heard of the Duke of Ailes. Has achieved extraordinary achievements in swordsmanship. Why study magic specifically? And that's the trap that Elle set. He mentioned his trip to the capital. Experienced many convenient magic tools. While lamenting the magic of the magicians. While explaining that learning magic can also heal wounds. They're useful on the battlefield. As the Heiress family guarding the north, the leader of the clan should take the lead in making changes. In words. From time to time, I emphasize my vision for magic. Let father's vigilance against Elle gradually decrease. He didn't expect a family obsessed with swordsmanship. There is such a far-sighted patriarch. Then Elle sincerely apologized to his father. All the time. Lord Mota has helped his family. Many. Father, even the white head is what he should do. I don't know it. Identified with this humble fallback. Then the Duke of Heiress began to brazenly praise palace maids. Maid of the House of Ascent Holtz. Just like the magic tower master. She is a particularly outstanding and beautiful lady. When I hear my daughter being praised by outsiders, the father completely let down his guard against the Duke of Heiress. I think the other party is too discerning. However, the next moment, Elle showed a sharp look. Take the initiative to mention that the crown prince abandoned the palace maid. Blunt words make such an excellent palace maid sad. It's a mess.
Egg really?
The father immediately agreed that the crown prince was a scumbag, pulling the Duke of Heiress and whispering. It is said that the crown prince's character is very bad, since his triumphant return as a war hero. Become very arrogant. The two chatted for a while. The words my father has kept in his heart for a long time. Confess it all. Make him feel comfortable. But he still didn't find it enjoyable. Invite the Duke of Heiress to his house for dinner tonight. After the two said goodbye to each other, Elle clenched his fist tightly. I'm looking forward to the dinner tonight. On the other hand, the princess is still verbally crusading against a book. The princess let a book answer the questions honestly. A conjecture at this time, if it is the original sound. I guess I would have jumped the prize long ago. But from his perspective, he was an outsider. So one book is just a very calm inquiry to the princess. Are you here to ask such boring questions? The princess came to visit early in the morning. I thought it was something important. A calm and composed answer. Beyond the expectations of the princess. He couldn't help but feel. The maid imagined herself as an incomparably dangerous enemy. But he still made a final struggle. Excited to get up and question the maid. Himself. Do you believe that this behavior is without intention? You are the one who wants to get the Crown Prince's unscrupulous theory. Not just the Crown Prince. Even the Duke of Ailes. I will also be embarrassed by your behavior. If the palace maid does not want to continue to harm the people, raw words. Just deal with these things. The princess deliberately stimulated the purpose of this book. Just provoke him. Because he wants a book to jump. Destroy everything he hates like in the past. So that you can rely on. Assassinate the Crown Prince's lover. The princess of the Kingdom of Malaysia was arrested on charges. Just then a book reached out to the princess. The princess thought she had taken the bait. But one is just a typical example of holding a fork in front of you. Eating while answering the prince's questions. I didn't expect such rumors to spread. Although it is a pity. But it doesn't seem to have anything to do with me. And His Royal Highness the Crown Prince is now. Don't you already have a lovely lover? No matter what I do, he shouldn't notice me. If something really goes wrong. Also a princess. Talk to the Crown Prince in person. No. Make me so tired as an irrelevant person. Hearing this, the princess couldn't help blushing. Yell at a book. Just then my brother walked in. Warning the princess that enough is enough. If you hear insults against your sister again, I won't let you go. The princess stared at Madame. Obviously not long ago he did not recognize the sister of the palace maid. Now you're acting like a brother. But by now he should have retreated. So he apologized to the maid. I didn't control my emotions well. Said a lot of things that shouldn't have been said. Then he gave a copy as a gift. This is what he got from His Royal Highness the Crown Prince. My brother impatiently asked him to explain. The princess burst into tears. Say this gift. In fact, it was the Crown Prince who was going to give it to the palace maids. I didn't know until I read the letter sent together. I don't want to rely on this gift. Make up for your mistakes today. I just hope the palace maid knows that she is not malicious. Saying that, the princess left directly. After confirming that the green tea is really gone, my brother asked in disbelief. Let this guy go intact. One book smiled after listening to it. He already knew that his brother was eavesdropping at the door. If you really did something out of the ordinary, I'm afraid my brother can't stand it. Although it is said that one is actually very grateful to my brother for appearing. Help him clean up the mess. Because at that time, the princess's words made him a little angry. If you change it to the original sound, the other party probably won't be able to get out of bed for the rest of his life. Then my brother suggested that he go and throw away the gift. But one rejected my brother's kindness. Because he was very curious. What the hell is in there? You can make the princess angry and come to the door. Not long ago the princess retreated from a family in dismay. But actually, he has been dark. Let his Shimo find the position of the bracelet too. However, in order to avoid attracting the opposite sex, the princess did not immediately ask Shimo to destroy the bracelet. Just let him keep staring and find a chance to destroy it. After solving the problem of the bracelet, the only remaining problem for the princess, there is only one copy. Although I have always heard rumors of palace maids changing. When but he and the Crown Prince never believed it. People will say it so easily. But after seeing the maid today, the other party does. Not the Ernie Eben he knew. Even falsely claiming that the gift was given by the Crown Prince. None of them showed any signs of wavering. The gift from the princess this time. He did it to please those stupid nobles. And specially designed body wash. Because it can make the skin glow. And the nobles called it the fountain of the sun. But if used frequently, it can lead to ugly skin diseases. And this time, he can appear as a redeemer. Gratuitous. Give them a cure for skin diseases. So the nobles would praise themselves. Originally planned to tame the maids in the same way. But now the performance of the palace maids make him unsure of each other. Will you use body wash? Just when the princess was at a loss, Shimo asked the princess, is the other party unwilling to help? Because when the princess was about to leave, he quietly observed a book. He found that the other party was shrouded in a thick layer. The scent of dark magic. I thought the princess was trying to win over each other. These words instantly enlightened the princess. It turns out that the palace maids are dark magicians like him.
Only so.
To explain, he was able to uncover his plans so easily. And the princess? He also quickly thought of a way to deal with palace maids. He's going to report the matter to the royal family. To become the crown princess. Even if the other party is the same as yourself, he won't show mercy. Open the gift left by the princess at this time. Inside is a princess who forged the crown prince's note. Write a letter. Read the letter. An inexplicable book was prayed by the crown prince of scum. It is excusable to think that the princess came to the door to ask for guilt. So he decided to Throw away this seemingly expensive body wash. Then the maid entered the door. Tell a book. Cosmetic store not long ago. Has agreed to cooperate in the processing of rhodia grass. Now just decide. What kind of product do you want to make? Suddenly, a book looked at the body wash in his hand. I heard that this body wash is very popular among nobles. And the demand for body wash also increases in summer. It's a great opportunity to capture the market. So a book was immediately clapped. Decided to make a body wash. And the maid. Then I noticed the body wash in one hand.
Lady maid?
Is what you hold in your hand the spring of the sun? That's a rumor. Can let in instant. Treasure product with skin as smooth as satin. It's hard to buy it now even with money. The book of classical Chinese suddenly became excited. Ask how much this thing is worth. The little maid thought for a moment and guessed. Now a bottle costs 10 million gold coins. I learned that the body wash in my hand is more precious than gold. One book at a time. The thought of throwing it away gingerly put him back in the box. Thinking of finding a chance to sell him. The maid asked if it was a gift from the Duke of Les. One book immediately stops the movement in his hand. I was in a makeup shop at the time. The picture of applying hand cream to the Duke. Thinking of the Duke and his own actions. It seems like a date. Repaired a book with a red face. But he still claims that he has nothing to do with the Duke. The relationship made is obviously unfortunate. If you are yourself, you must give gifts every day. After all, he has no reason not to be fascinated by such a perfect palace maid. One book per person. Quilt. I don't know how cool the servant's rhetoric is. However, he suddenly saw. The maid's earring suddenly burst into a dazzling red light. Too late to think. One towards maid skills. Take off that sparkling earring. Then he ran desperately towards the window. The moment the earrings are thrown out of a book, he has calculated the time. No one will pass by the courtyard. But the only variable left out. When the earrings were unbiased towards the Duke of Owls. When it falls. A book's brain. The whole machine has no idea what to do. Random. A powerful explosion was transmitted from the courtyard into the room. The smoke from the explosion made a book cough. But he quickly remembered when he had just dropped a bomb. The Duke is downstairs. I hurried to the window. Swapped the Duke's name. Immediately saw the Duke holding up the key. Standing there intact. Looks like it's swordsmanship. Resisted the damage of this explosion. I'm glad the Duke wasn't hurt. However, the next moment, I saw the Duke staring at him intently. One book reminded me that the other party is a royal family. Secret search officer. Maybe nothing is the biggest problem. He took 2 steps back. Thinking about saying that he didn't mean it at that time. Will the other party forgive themselves? Maid, are you alright? A book to hear the maid's voice. Run over to confirm his injury. Then let him rest first. I have to go out and see the situation first. Because the Duke of Ales was affected by the explosion. The maid in Wenyan suddenly became nervous. But one book reassured him. I'm the one who dropped the bomb. I'll be back when I go, don't worry. However, after closing the door to the room, hurry up and run to the courtyard. What should I do if I say it 300 times in my heart? It's okay to play small and make trouble by yourself. This time, a bomb was dropped in front of the search officer. Just went down the stairs. I found that there were already many people eating melons at the door. Surrounded. A book collapsed to the ground in an instant. This time it's really big. When a book comes to the courtyard, everyone made way for the little master in an instant. They didn't expect. The palace that has been indifferent to the family. Women will appear here. Take advantage of this time to observe the courtyard. It wasn't quite as messy as he had imagined. I just felt a little relieved. The next moment, the yellow-haired guard rushed out to explain. This explosion. It happened to coincide with the visit of the Duke of Owls. Thanks to him absorbing the energy from the explosion. To minimize losses. Saying that, let a book rest assured. I will definitely bring the criminals to justice. Little do you know. The original work of this bombing, The Brave, is a book. He let the yellow-haired knight get out of the way. She elbowed him away. The powerful strange force unsheathed the yellow-haired soul. At this time, Duke of Ayers, surrounded by a crowd of melon eaters, noticed a book approaching him. So holding moldy flowers. Greet him warmly. One I didn't expect. The Duke actually stopped himself. He hasn't figured out a reason yet. Suddenly he broke out in a cold sweat. Because, under the influence of his heart, the Duke was smiling at him strangely. The people who eat melons see this scene. They are all saying that the prince and the Duke are a good match. A new one said that the Duke was staring at him. Where is the half-face of the iron pan? Embarrassed to ask if the Duke was injured. I'm fine, but I didn't expect it at all. So accidentally? Destroy the roses that are going to send rice. A book is a little surprised why you should send flowers to yourself. I thought maybe the Duke was not available. Hands-on habit. As his blind date. It should be accepted as a polite way to deal with it. So he took the flowers from the Duke's hand. You said this flower was for me. Then I'll take it. Just the right thing to do with these flowers to decorate the room. The Duke hears a book and wants to decorate the room. Immediately express yourself to buy some more flowers. A book that hastily refused to ask about the other party's door-to-door visit. When I hear that the other party is invited to dinner by his father. Look at the sun in the sky. Everyone is stupid. I can only make a haha, the Duke is here early. Then the captain of the guard came to the side of the two. A salute. He asked the maid. The explosion at home. Do you have any clues? He had already asked the Duke of Heiress. He said he didn't know anything. And no strong evidence was found at the scene. A book of surprise that the Duke did not expose himself. The Duke shrugged his shoulders. And then look like you've done a good thing and asked for praise. It's a pity that I don't understand it at all. Therefore, the Duke asked the captain of the guard to investigate the others first. Then the Duke hoped that one would take him to the reception. One book suddenly panicked. He thought the Duke was blackmailing him. Although he was grateful to the Duke. I didn't put him in front of everyone. Become a troublemaker. But he is still very worried about what might happen next. After one book brought the Duke to his private reception. The room thinks that even if something happens, or settle it privately with the Duke. Unexpectedly, the Duke went straight to the window. The aftermath of this explosion is not small. Ask if a book is injured. And the one at this time just remembered. I was standing at the window. But no harm was done. One book tells the Duke that he is all right. And thank him. I just helped myself cover for the explosion. In fact, it was all caused by my own mistakes. I'm so sorry. Was the Duke a mistake? Thought the other party was unfortunate. One book explains in detail that something went wrong with his artifact. Throw it outside in a hurry. The Duke happened to pass by. Meaning, you find that the bomb you made is about to explode. So I threw it outside. Then why don't you use defensive magic, classical language? A nervous heart stops beating. As expected of the Royal Inquisitor. He was so keen to catch his own flaw. The book at this time is completely in trouble. At a loss. And the Duke is closing in on him step by step. Just as he was about to tell the truth, he didn't know magic. The Duke asked for a copy. Did you throw a bomb at me on purpose? He wanted to come clean. I have magical amnesia. But then his weakness will be spread. The enemies provoked by the original sound will also follow. But if you do nothing, it's like acquiescing to the fact that the Duke of Wreck. Maybe then, father and brother will reveal their true nature because of themselves. Alienate yourself again. For a time, one book was caught in a dilemma. Thinking after 3, he decided to come clean about his symptoms. But before he could say it, the Duke looked embarrassed when he saw a book. The first to express my opinion. You must have done this to test me. A book full of question marks. I suspect the Duke has been blown away by himself. The Duke? After learning. I'm not just curious about a book. Make up your mind. To be the most special book in the fish pond. Man, because he has never left his territory. Little is known about the past of this book. So to make up for it, he and a book that he did not experience together. The Duke began a frantic search. News about one book. However, after learning more about a book, the more he can feel under a book of exceptional behavior. Hidden a crazy love for the Crown Prince. But the Duke thought from the bottom of his heart. The Crown Prince is not as good as himself. He is only missing one copy at a time. Positive chance. So, when the Duke saw the red glow of the Merle, and he wasn't scared at all. There's just joy and a bit of panic. He thinks. This is the book that gave him a test. After all, the Crown Prince is a master of swordsmanship just like him. In the past, the Crown Prince used to helped Cordelia fend off a bomb. Then as a pursuer of one book. You should have that as well. So the Duke reassured a book. For whatever reason. I will not blame the palace maid. The Duke looks like a masochist. An invitation to the Duke to sit down and chat. It is convenient to solve the misunderstanding. Then a book asked the Duke. What do you mean by experiment? I saw the Duke shaking the wine glass calmly. He glanced at the accessories beside him. Don't you want to confirm my strength? Then he smiled and asked for a copy. It should be about the same. The current book looked nervously at the Duke's sword. The brain is constantly searching. What does the Duke mean by the situation? Perhaps the Duke is saying. The incident where he dropped the bomb on Cordelia. The Crown Prince at the time protected Cordelia. But what does that have to do with the experiment? Suddenly a thought. The Duke may have guessed that he knew his royal family. the identity of the search officer. So he mistakenly thought he was doing it on purpose. Create the same situation as it was then. With this. To see if he was the Crown Prince's secret inspector. And the Duke just took it easy. In fact, it is a silent oppression of oneself. The purpose is to tell a book. No matter what, you can't escape his surveillance. One book's face is getting uglier and uglier. Then he apologized sincerely to the Duke. He was indeed testing the Duke. But now I'm really after. I beg the Duke's forgiveness. Saying that, please ask the Duke. Never tell that person about this. Unexpectedly, the Duke suddenly asked a gloomy question. Who is that referring to? When he heard the name of the Crown Prince, the Duke put down his glass. I don't understand. Why are you mentioning the Crown Prince here? A book that subconsciously thinks. Investigators are obliged to report the loss to the Crown Prince. I'm testing and asking. I got carried away. So he apologized to the Duke and told him not to take it to heart. And the Duke stood up. Then I sat down next to a book. A solemn promise. I won't tell anyone about it. And hand over the things in your hand to a book. One book so far. As for taking what the Duke handed, it must be the ear-ring bomb he lost not long ago. A book I didn't expect the Duke to do for him. He actually abandoned his duty as a search officer. Quickly asked the other party why. The Duke only said, I was very distressed to see the maid in the palace. And it was between the two of them. No need to tell anyone. For some reason. One book blushed instantly after listening to the Duke's words. He can't tell the difference. The Duke did this with simple tenderness and tolerance. Or is it because he really believed what he said? After the Duke said to deal with the captain of the guard, he pulled himself out. Communication props that you always carry with you. Then crush it. He will tell each other. It's the surge caused by its own communication props. A book of doubts. Didn't the Duke tell the other party just now? Don't you know anything? The Duke of Ailes was confident. Let a book rest assured. Although he was only happy to be patient in front of the palace maids. But in front of others. But the head of the Heiress family. See the Duke making up lies for himself. One book's heart was pounding. It seems that the Duke is really only so special to him. However, the next moment the Duke intimately inquired about a book. Can you grant him a request? Not so long ago. Brother learns of a terrifying bomb in his house.
Attack.
So he asked the captain of the guard what happened. According to the description of the captain of the guard, it was the malfunction of the magic prop carried by the Duke of Ailes. Caused an explosion. Wenyan's brother breathed a sigh of relief. Ask about the Duke's safety and presence at this moment. But I didn't notice when the captain of the guard said this. Sweating all over. The captain of the guard told my brother. This moment. The Duke and the lady are taking a walk in the woods. My brother was not calm in an instant. He doesn't want his sister to be loved again. Get carried away. Obviously he is already in Sanding. Don't approach the Duke. His father also invited him to dinner. One by one, they don't listen to their own words. Here the Duke is taking credit for a book. I have ordered. The captain of the guard is not allowed to continue the investigation. In return for the kindness. Forced commitment. You can agree to any of the Duke's conditions. The Duke pondered for a second. With a lucky face, he tilted his head and looked at the book next to him. I'm a little embarrassed to read one. If you want to ask me to borrow money, I don't have it. But the Duke, I won't waste this rare opportunity like this.
Thanks.
I saw him ambiguously floating a book of hair around his ears. I hope the maids will call themselves Lady next. This is the Duke's, said he hoped. One book and myself. Don't keep changing like that in the future. And a book at this time due to the Duke. Intentional or unintentional physical contact. Blush and heartbeat. He found himself gradually confused about public affairs. Jew this person. But he still has a reputation for being a bad girl. And ugly looks have plenty. Self-confidence. I don't think the Duke did it against him. I had an idea, so I nodded and agreed. And immediately shouted Lele. However, this sudden name. But the Duke was stunned in place. He didn't expect to be called by his beloved. It is said to have such great power. The Duke kept savoring the sweet taste in his heart. But was interrupted by a distant call. I saw my brother running towards this side panting. Fortunately, there is a book to support. That's why he didn't fall. But after my brother can catch his breath, immediately let one book go first. He wants to speak to the Duke of Airs alone. A book worrying about the relationship between the brother and the Duke. Become a Surefield. I don't want to leave. However, what he didn't expect was, the Duke of Airs would also like to talk to his brother alone. Helpless, one can only go back to the mansion first. After one book leaves, the brother warned the Duke. Do not approach your sister. The Duke just listened calmly. Then he revealed his characteristic charming smile. I understand why the little Duke would say that about himself. I didn't mean to hurt a book at all. Please rest assured. For a time, my brother was attracted by the charm of the Duke again. I think what the Duke said is very sincere. Friend persuasion. I haven't waited for him to react yet. The Duke leaned over him. Then the Duke clutched his brother's shoulders tightly. I've heard of the little Duke's theory of magic. Very knowledgeable. Very good at teaching. It turned out that the Duke was in order to be able to. Together in dignity. I investigated my brother and father early. Information. Know how to please the two of them. Afterwards at the dinner party. The Duke of Heiress had a great conversation with his brother and father. Let a book guess. What ecstasy soup did the Duke pour for the two of them? See the Duke boasting at the dinner table. A book feels. The distance between themselves and them? Missing by one universe. At this time. A book that suddenly hears the sound of detailed complaints. The maids outside the door are lamenting. The Duke is like a son-in-law who comes to propose marriage. One just feels ridiculous. If he is his significant other, you should always take care of yourself. Instead of just focusing on my brother. Fathers drink and chat. Thinking of this, I feel a little sad in my heart. All he remembers is that he just got dressed. When you come to the restaurant, Duke Ailes stood up. I praised my clothes for being very suitable. And there was no communication after that. Ming Ming let himself call him by his nickname not long ago.
After.
My brother and father are already drunk. But one book is embarrassed and faceless. Because these two people only drank half a glass together. He can't stand two alcoholics. He's on the sidelines talking nonsense. So I got up and said goodbye. After leaving the restaurant, one book went to the courtyard to kill time. He doesn't quite understand how he feels now. Then a person appeared behind one book. A nervous look back. He discovered that the other party was his maid. Very good boy. Ask the other party what's the matter. Unexpectedly, the maid bowed to one book. Claiming to have something to beg the maid. Seeing the maid trembling all over. A book that knows the maid even if she is afraid. I still want to please myself. Then I saw the maid kneel down. Begging for a copy to sell him the Spring of the Sun. Because his sister has a serious skin disease. Only the Spring of the Sun can cure this disease. Not long ago I heard that the palace maid received a bottle. If the lady palace doesn't want to use it, please sell it to yourself. I will pay it back with my life. However, Eben was taken aback when he heard this. He didn't expect it. The spring water of the sun actually has such an effect. How can I compete with him? So he told the maid in front of him. I won't sell you the Spring of the Sun. The maid knew that her request had crossed the line. I can only keep apologizing to one book. But the next sentence gave him hope again. I saw a book that gently wiped the tears from the corners of the maid's eyes. I am very interested in your sister's story. Show him to me. The maid asked uneasily. What is the purpose of bringing my sister here? One book asked for the other person's last name. Is Rogni a nobleman? He heard that 10 years ago. The two daughters of the Rogni family. Kicked out of the house. Finally, the crab's cousin inherited the family. Are you talking about the two sisters? The maid in classical Chinese seems to have remembered a bad past.
Admit.
He and his sister are a Dixie of the Rogni family. Now, living with my mother in the suburbs. Your sister accepted the succession of the Rogni family. Inheritance course. The mind must be clear. The reason I called him here is because I have something to ask him. You get paid, of course. If you agree to these conditions, I will provide you with the Spring of the Sun. The maid looked up in surprise at a book. He didn't expect the palace maid to be so merciful. Then a book bends over and reaches out. I want to lift the maid on the ground. The details of the specific cooperation. You need to tell your sister in person. The maid gently placed her hand on the book. Like grasping a life-saving straw. Promised the lady with a firm attitude. We'll go find my sister together tomorrow morning. On the other side, the Duke's dinner party is coming to an end. The father was carried away by the servants one step ahead. And my brother told the Duke. We'll think carefully about what happened at that time. It turned out that not long ago in the woods. The Duke asked his brother to be his magic teacher. The premise is that the sister cannot be hurt. The Duke asked his brother in confusion. Do you look like that kind of person? No, definitely not. Anyone who comes to see the Duke is handsome and a gentleman. Live up to the title of the most handsome man in the empire. But this is also the problem. Then he looked at the Duke in astonishment. Explaining the reasons for a blind prince. In fact, the two have never communicated at all. Just because the crown prince accidentally bumped into a copy. A smile when apologizing. Just sunny enough. Anyway, this is the book. It's easy to trust other people's children. saying that my brother persuaded the Duke. If it weren't so simple to fall in love, don't leave room for a book early. Then my brother suddenly said, one should have no interest in the Duke. Because not long ago, he happened to overhear one to put the Duke's blind date gift is ground into powder and drunk. The Duke was devastated at this moment. His heart seemed to break. However, the brother opposite still doesn't understand the situation. Ask the Duke if he gave Longjing Westlake. The Duke doesn't speak, just grunting and flaunting red wine. Drink bottle after bottle. Even the waiter pouring the wine. I had to stand by the Duke's side at all times. After the banquet, the Duke came alone to the courtyard to sober up. But before he knew it, his eyes gradually turned red. He doesn't understand. Why is the book clearly? I said I really liked the bracelet he gave me. But you have to grind it into powder. He sat on the ground lost. Is it possible to teach yourself a nickname? Is it just because you asked him? Is this forcing him in disguise? The Duke smelled the fragrance of a free hand cream. I feel that everything is my own wishful thinking. A book is always in front of you. Now be careful. Could it be that he feels burdened? So you've been perfunctory? But I just want to be the fish in his pond. The next morning, the Duke took the adjutant to meet early. He mentioned that he wanted to learn magic. The adjutant thought the Duke was crazy, because using magic goes against swordsmanship, family phalanx. But the Duke was tough. Now he is the head of the Heiress family. Policy should also change with the times. Seeing the adjutant still doesn't understand, the Duke suddenly raised his wooden sword and charged at the adjutant. After the adjutant reluctantly took the Duke's attack, the Duke leaps to his feet. Then a white light flashed on the adjutant's neck. The adjutant broke out in a cold sweat. The Duke smiled and explained that this was the power of magic. The current self can only be in the hand part. Control if there are more options in the future. Will there be a big difference? But the adjutant told the truth. You just want to have more interaction with the palace maids. Make excuses. What a beautiful woman I have seen before. Unmoved. Now suddenly. Makes me very skeptical. Did the Duke fall for the charm of the palace maid? The Duke of Magic can't hear that. Ask the adjutant. Do you feel like you can't tell your true feelings apart? And fake feelings created by magic? The adjutant panicked to defend himself. It's because there were rumors not long ago. The palace maid is trying to make the crown prince change his mind, intentionally reusing the Duke. This reminds the Duke of last night. The situation in the medical family. The original one from last night was walking in the courtyard, thinking that the dinner party should have ended early. So I quickened my pace and got ready to go back to the room to rest. En route. But suddenly I met a drunk man sitting on the side of the road. Ju was taken aback. I thought it was the dark magician again. A monster sent to attack him. Until the Duke looked up. Only in one book did I recognize that the other party was the Duke of Ailes. So he called out softly. But the Duke kept staring awkwardly at a book. It kind of confused him. Immediately the Duke whispered a reminder that it was Rod. Instantly a book becomes a steam engine. I didn't expect the drunk Duke to be so cute.
He leaned over and asked Rod what he was doing here now.
Duke Wenyan just stood up, then calmly stared at a book. And one is also observing the Duke. And his face was red. This is the same as the usually calm Duke. A stark contrast. The girl couldn't help but want to pinch his little face. The Duke? Asked the question that made him drunk tonight. Do you really like the blind date gift I gave you? One looks a little confused. I heard the Duke explain. Because you said you were going to grind it into powder and drink it. One book complained in his heart that his brother's mouth was too wide. Want to justify. Although he did say. But it was a misunderstanding. See a book admitting that the Duke looks increasingly lost. Unfortunately, one book can only coax the Duke. I like gifts very much. There's just some other reason for saying that? Just when a book wants to find a new excuse? Accidentally. I saw the Duke look wronged and sad. This makes one feel a little guilty. Ming Duke has been helping himself without prejudice. But I made him so sad. So a book made up its mind. Tell each other your secrets. The next moment the Duke was promoted with a book. He regained his once composed expression. And tell a book that someone is peeking at them. One followed the Duke's gaze. It turned out that the room belonged to my brother. He subconsciously thought it was his brother who was banning again. Stop him from falling in love with the Duke. So let the Duke not have to worry about it. But the Duke's eyes were full of anger. Tell Ibn it's a nasty thing. So find out for yourself. But one doesn't want the Duke. Too embarrassed with my brother. He subconsciously grabbed the Duke's hand. Then throw the Duke against the wall. With a snap, the other party's wall and pillar will not be allowed to leave. A book with a nervous face made the Duke calm down. He'll send guards to investigate. The Duke was suddenly struck by the wall. The whole face is fierce. And he trembled, and he put his arm around a copy. But in the end, I still dare not disturb the other party. But tell a book you know. But one book has a smile on its face. The more he thought the Duke was particularly lovely tonight. Obviously stubborn. But you can listen to yourself. This is a book that I suddenly noticed. He kept grabbing the Duke's wrist. Frightened, he hurriedly let go and apologized. I'm so unreasonable. And the Duke saw his red wrist. He spoke out as a master of swordsmanship. It was completely suppressed by a book. Thinking of this, he stared at a book with obsession. My sweetheart is amazing. A worried inquiry to the Duke at this time. Are you angry? He didn't know that he was asking this question for nothing. Even the Duke, also laughing and laughing, let a book come again. Then the Duke asked what he had just wanted to say. One told the Duke it was a first-class secret. Never tell anyone. Who knew the Duke heard that it was a first-class secret? Immediately nervously leaned over to the side of a book. Whisper reminder since it is an important secret. Don't say it here. And you didn't have to tell me. Little do you know that his mindless intimacy make a brain full of blood. He stiffly asked the Duke to answer. What are your plans for coming down? Do you want to have a cup of tea or enjoy the month? Thinking it's too late to do anything. So one book invited the Duke. Do you want to sleep together for a night?